Hello, it's me again. It's part 2, and I completely forgot that actually I just have 15 minutes, and therefore I just started rambling on until I saw like I have 10 seconds to explain to the people that I have to switch on to part 2, and yes. So, but it fits to the whole theme of the podcast today, like one catastrophe after the other and one mistake I do after the other. So yeah, I'm not even bothered anymore. It's just yes, it's just a disaster after disaster. Okay, so where was I? Oh yeah, Houting being an idiot. Yes, and being an idiot for no reason, really. Like he reminds me of a lot of teenagers. I've worked with a lot of teenagers. Like I'm, I'm not really a social worker, but in that field. So I've worked with teenagers a lot, and this is something that really frustrates me a lot with them just because you want to annoy your parents or you want to be cool or anything, don't piss away your future. Like, school is important. Like, I was always more interested in other things as well. Like, I would go clubbing. I started very early. Yeah, I was very early on in a relationship with my now husband. And, like, yes, school was not my favorite. And I didn't do a lot for school, but I always made sure that I did enough so that I would have decent grades. Like, I had not the best grades, and I know I could have done a lot better if I would have just given it a bit more, like, yeah, a bit more effort. But at least I had decent grades so that I could go to university, and I have a good, like, master's degree as well. So, like, I did enough for that. And I think with Houting, again, he should have done at least that because he's bright enough. And I'm sure he wouldn't even have to, like, put so much effort in anyway. On the other hand, we have Yuchiku, who actually does nothing else but studying. Yes, in his situation, I can completely understand that because, like, him being an orphan, having to rely on himself, actually getting a good job is the only way out of his poverty. So for him, it's extremely important. But with him, again, he has something to learn as well, while Hao Ting has to learn that his whole life is not just fun and games. There are responsibilities that we all have to face at one point. We have Yuchigu on the other side, who needs to learn that sometimes not everything is about responsibilities. Sometimes things are about feelings and about joy and about laughter and just about be in the here and now, because sometimes there won't be a future. And I think that fits the name of the whole show so good, like Make Our Days Count. Yuchigu is just working for a future. He's not living practically in the now. He is just completely concentrating that in the future he will have a better life. But what people forget is, like, you could be hit by a car tomorrow. Like, Yushigu could have been like just like drop that tomorrow, and then what would have his life have been the last couple of years? It would have been just sad work, nothing else. So sometimes I think it's really important. Like, I can understand that in some situations like Yushigu's, it's really hard to take time for just like some joy and not work so hard and just maybe just let your hair down once in a while. But I think really there's no situation that would really, yeah, warrant you be that strict towards yourself. Because if you don't enjoy life and if you don't enjoy life now, then, well, what's the point in the future? Because in the future, like, there will always be something else coming up and there will always be issues and problems. So I think for Yushigu, the whole Make Our Days Count thing is really, yeah, actually I think for both of them it's really interesting, because Hao Ting is completely like wasting his days in a way, because he's not doing anything of, yeah, substance. And on the other side, we have Yushigu, who is completely so focused and stressed out about like studying and about his future that he is not really like making his days count either, because they're just full of work. So I think for both of them together, yeah, the whole premise is just to live in the here and now and not forgetting the future. The future is important, but like to have this balance between these two extremes, which is really cute, because we have on the bodily side of things, we have this huge guy, Hao Ting, who's like, God knows how tall. I'm sure that he's like five heads taller than me. And then we have this tiny little Yushigu. So we have that extreme again as well. So somehow this show is really about the balance. And now let me come to the sex scene between, like, no, it's not a sex scene, the making out scene between Hao Ting and Yushigu in the last episode, because I think that's, like, that was one of the scenes where I completely lost my marbles. And not for the reasons that people might think I lost my marbles for. Yes, I'm a perv, and yes, I enjoy watching guys snog. Here we go. But the reason why I enjoyed this scene so freaking much, I can't actually, then there would need to be like an infinitive sign over my souls right now, because it was awesome. Why I love that scene. So we get Hao Ting being his usual quite seductive self, pushing Yushigu onto the couch, telling him that he's serious and that he would love to just kiss him. But he doesn't do it. He's not the active part. He just waits. And Yushigu is the one who kisses him. Yushigu is the one who has his hands under his shirt, like in the beginning. Like you can see, like almost before they even snog, he already has his hand under his shirt. I'm not sure if many people notice, but like watch it again. Yushigu's hand is underneath Hao Ting's shirt, like way from the beginning, before they even started snogging like that. So when they start kissing them, Hao Ting being again like this adorable little self, like when he, oh God. So Yushigu is pressing him up. So he, how do I explain that in the best way? Like in the beginning, it was like Hao Ting was in a way an aggressor. So he pushed Yushigu down. But then with Yushigu kissing him, Yushigu completely took over control. He pushed then Hao Ting upwards so that Hao Ting was straddling him. And then there was the scene where Hao Ting actually bites his lip and looks at Yushigu like a blushing virgin, really. Like I hate these whole like stereotypes of tops and bottoms, but I have no other words for it. So Hao Ting is behaving in that scene like the perfect script book bottom, and I am so there for it. Because let's face it, like in reality, he will not be the bottom, he will be the top, most likely, or they switch, or God knows. But I celebrate it so hard because in our genre, we normally have this top and bottom divide so harshly. Like a top is supposed to be a certain way, character-wise, and he has to be like the man in a relationship. So, and then we have the bottom, who practically is just a cute boy who would normally be the girl in the whole storyline if it would be like a hetero show. And that pisses me off, because if I want to see shit like that, I just watch like a hetero show. I don't need to watch Boy Love for it. Boy Love I like because gender depiction is normally not that black and white. Like men are allowed to cry and men are allowed to be vulnerable, and I like that. I really like that. And in this scene where Hao Ting and Yushigu have actually sex, they're not sex, they're making out. See, that's like my wishful thinking the whole time. I want them to have sex, and this is the whole time that comes out. No, but what I mean is, like, in that moment when they are making out, what history does and what the director does in such a clever way is they are blurring these lines between the stereotypical top and bottom dynamic in a relationship, like in the way that relationships are depicted in Boy Love. And I love it. It's absolutely awesome and amazing, and I can't stop raving and ranting about it, and it's awesome. So then obviously the parents come in, and the parents are shitty, and I hate them, and especially the dad. He is like such a homophobic ass, and I can't understand why parents have to be like that. It's your child. You see your child crying there. You see your child in pain. How can you do that? How can you just like let your child be in pain when the only reason why they are in pain is because you are a stupid asshole? I just don't get it. But well, let's just not focus too much on that, because what I want to make why I want to go ahead is then we have this whole scene where Yushigu actually goes over to the house, and I was so sure that what he would do would be to apologize to the parents and say, like, yes, you're right, Hao Ting should not be with me. He should be with a nice girl. He should do whatever you want. I apologize for causing any disturbance to this family, and I feel so bad. And he didn't do that. I so expected that. And like, honestly, I'm a TV whore. I have watched so much telly in my years. Like, really, like, as a child, I come from the countryside. There is nothing. And if you don't have a TV, you're dying because there is nothing. So I spent my whole childhood just watching telly. So I was so sure that I actually read all the signs right. Like that Yushigu didn't answer Hao-Ting on the phone and everything. I just so thought I knew what's going to happen. Like, he's going to say, yes, no, I give up, you're right. And him not having actually parents himself, obviously he doesn't want to stand in between the parents and Hao-Ting. Ha! And I was wrong. I still can't get over the fact that I was wrong. And I love it, and it's amazing. Because, yes, it's completely putting these whole dynamics on its head. It's again not Hao-Ting who is like this brave, strong bottom. No, it's a tiny Yushiku who actually tells him what to do and just like, no, this is a discussion between me and your parents. You just shush, like be quiet when gorgeous people talk. Like, yes, he didn't say that, but you get the gist. So I just really love it, and I love that he is so mature about it, and he just tells them like, we should be together. I'm a good influence for him. He's a good influence for me, and I'm going to be I'm going to have a good future, and I'm going to be able to provide for him. So again, we have this person who's normally like so the top Hao-Ting, and then we have Yushigu who practically tells his parents that, don't worry, I'm going to make an honest man out of your son, and I'm going to provide for him. And I can't tell you how much I enjoy this, because it's just absolutely beautiful. And yeah, this story makes me extremely happy. And I can't wait to see what else they come up with. Because, yeah, there are so many things that still hasn't been explored enough. And yeah, I think this love story is utterly gobsmackingly amazing. And I didn't expect them, like, if a show is so good, it's really hard to put another, like, it's really hard to continue with the quality, I think. But what history has been able to do is they are actually not just maintaining their quality, they're getting better and better and better. And this really astonishes me, like, big time. And I still can't believe that they are honestly this amazingly good. So I can see now that I've talked again for 13 minutes because, yes, let's face it, Hao-Ting and Yushigu actually deserve that. So I'm going to do a third part today. I'm sorry. Like, yes, I hope it's not too long for you guys. Please let me know if I'm talking too much and you would rather have shorter podcasts. But yes, I'm going to do a third part now about Sunbo and Chigang, and about a certain naughty, smutty scene that we all witnessed last week. So, yes, I will be back in a second.